Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw. Well, welcome back to another episode of Breaking Brews. I am your host, Commander Claw, where I bring you everything about EDH deck building. And this episode, or this series actually, is just 5 random cards that go with different themes for this new commander from Aetherdrift. His name is Mendicant Core Guidelight. Yes, super excited to bring you some information on this one because it is a artifacts focused commander, and I do play heavy artifacts. And if you see my video for Megatron Destructive Tyrant, that is another artifact commander, so I feel like I know this artifact theme quite well. So, without further ado, let's begin with talking about Mendicant Core Guidelight's ability. Azorious colors, which is white and blue. It has star 3, okay? Legendary artifact creature, Robot. Its ability says Mendicant's power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. Right there, we want to have a bunch of artifacts on the battlefield. If you never played Azorius, well, to me personally, it's been kind of boring until recently they've released a couple of Azorius commanders that have been doing things a little bit differently, and this is one of them. So you're going to have to put a bunch of artifacts on the battlefield, whether they are creatures or just artifacts, to raise the power of Mendicant. And that is pretty easily. You can litter the battlefield with a bunch of artifacts. Its next ability, start your engines. It says if you have no speed, it starts at 1. It increases once each of your turns when an opponent loses life. Max speed is 4. This will be your most difficult ability to activate, I promise you. Azorius is just not a color that can just throw damage around easily without it being combat focused. But don't worry, midway through the video, I give you some sneaky cards to deal damage. And yes, they are in white and blue. And yes, they are low CMC. So put them into your deck. And I believe they're less than $1. They gotta be. They're not even like talked about on EDH Rec. Anyways, moving on to Mendicant's last ability, Max Speed. When you have max speed, that means you've got max speed, up to 4. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1. If you do, copy it. We want to do that because there's a bunch of artifacts that we would like a duplicate of. And don't forget, you can also bounce an artifact, then recast it. And if you have max speed, why not make another double of it? Make another copy of it. See the shenanigans that are possibilities here? So without further ado, let me give you to my first recommended card. Yes, we have Illustrious Wanderglyph. I will tell you from experience playing this card, in my Anim Pakal deck, it will be removed. Soon as you play it, the players on your left, right across from you, on your right hand side, are saying, no, you cannot have this. Because Illustrious Wanderglyph is for 4 and a white, 2/2 body, artifact creature golem. It has Ascend. If you control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. Awesome. That's really easy to do. It says other artifact creatures you control get +2/+2 as long as you have the city's blessings. You probably will be making Thopters, I almost said Constructicons for you Transformer fans. Constructs, and what? Any other artifact creature, right? It buffs them +2/+3. So at minimum, they're becoming 3/3s. Nobody wants a bunch of 3/3s to go against. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature token. I forgot to say gnome. But dang, right there. You're telling me this creature creates 3/3s on each player's upkeep? It will be removed. It is pretty easy to remove too. It's only a 2/2. But remember, do not be discouraged because your opponents have powerful creatures on the battlefield also. So they will have to decide through threat assessment, is this worth being removed? But don't be disappointed once it is. Definitely one of my favorite cards for artifact synergy. Moving on to the next. Here we have Ayesha, Tanaka, Armorer, for 3 white and blue, 2/4, legendary creature, human artificer. She says, whenever Ayesha attacks, look at the top 4 cards of your library. Okay. You may put the number of artifact cards with mana value less than or equal to Ayesha's power from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any random order. So essentially, you are able to drop artifacts from the top 4 cards of your library and put them on the battlefield. It also says Ayesha can't be blocked as long as defending player controls 3 or more artifacts. So you are encouraged to boost her power. And you can do that because guess what? You probably were running equipments in your deck that boost the power of Mendicant. Okay. Right? And you attach those equipments onto Ayesha. Bam. So the more power she has, the bigger or higher CMC your artifacts can have that get put onto the battlefield for free every time she's attacked. So this can get overwhelming for your opponents because you're cheating out artifacts. Cheating out artifacts. There's nothing better than doing that. It's just like when you play green, when you're cheating out creatures, cheating out anything, playing spells for free. That is how you can gain value while you're playing the game of Commander. Moving on to the next card. So if you are running a vehicles theme, okay, we have Kotori Pilot Prodigy. For 1 white and blue, 2/4 Moonfolk Pilot. Vehicles you control have crew 2. There are some really powerful vehicles out here, and if you can just type a creature for power 2 to crew it, you will be in the ball game of value, my friends. Value. And that would be tough for your opponents to stop. It also says at the beginning of combat on your turn, target artifact creature you control gains lifelink and vigilance until end of turn. That's crazy. So not only your vehicle becomes artifact creatures, if you crew it for 2, they gain lifelink and vigilance. This also is included for any other artifact creatures that you may have on the battlefield, like the illustrious Wonderglyph, or one of your artifact creatures equipped with a powerful equipment. You got options here, players. You got options here. So do not underestimate Kotori Pilot Prodigy. Another favorite card of mine, I definitely recommend it in the Iron Man. Uh, the Iron Man commander from the Marvel. It's Encroaching Mycosynth for 4 mana, 3 and a blue. It's an artifact itself. And it says non-land permanents you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for permanent spells you control and non-land permanent cards you own that are not on the battlefield. So, if you don't know, blue is really good at tutoring artifacts from your library, and it's a good way to put them onto the battlefield for cheap. One card is one of my favorite. It is Reality Heist. I need to put this on here. Yeah, Reality Heist is a good way to cheat out artifacts onto the battlefield. But the reason why I put Encroaching Mycosynth because you might have enchantments, right? Planeswalkers or other creatures that need to become artifacts in order to boost Mendicant Core's power. Right, right. And get creative because there's a bunch of other creature token generators like Edifying Cathar or something that creates 1/1 humans upon attack for each opponent you have. And why not convert those humans into AI robots? Maybe Tesla robots. That'd be kind of funny, right? Oh, that'd be a good fun deck theme, like Tesla robots or AI robots, something AI. Like, you convert humans into robots, artifacts. Just having fun here. But anyway, Encroaching Mycosynth is a good card to create, to change or add the type of permanent to an artifact in order to tutor that permanent. Yes. So just to let y'all know, some of y'all do run a mill theme, right? A mill theme in blue. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a giant blue spell to mill half of your opponent's deck, their library. Mad and Cacophony for 2, 1 and a blue. Each opponent mills 8 cards. If you kick it, 3 and a blue. If the spell was kicked, instead each opponent mills half the library rounded up. Well, the reason why I'm showing this card because I'm recommending Canoptic Scarab Swarm for 4. It's an artifact creature insect, 1/1 flyer. Feeder Mandibles is its ability. When a Canoptic Swarm enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard for each artifact or land card exiled this way. Create a 1/1 colorless insect artifact creature token with flying. In general, this card is really good for graveyard removal, graveyard hate. Why graveyard hate is important? Because players are known to utilize their graveyard to play more spells, to cheat out spells, to activate abilities. Get rid of their graveyard. I can't tell you how many times I've lost the game because somebody has returned something from their graveyard and it was quote unquote the missing piece. Hey, cannot the Scare Swarm removes their graveyard and at the same time creates all these 1/1 colors insect artifact creatures that boost the power of Mendicant Core Guidelight. This was an auto clue. Do not sleep on it. Just for the graveyard removal. Hate. Yes, moving on to the next. Now, here is where I was talking about cards that do damage for the Start Your Engine mechanic. They're sneaky, they're low CMC, and I highly encourage you to add them because you can probably play these on curve, and your opponents are just like, dang, you got the max speed. So, anyway, we're going to first start with the first card on the left here Akolapile for 2. It's an artifact, old ass card. It's an artifact. Tap 1 and tap it. Sacrifice Akolapile to have it deal 2 damage to any target. Bam. Obviously, you're going to target an opponent to increase your speed. Right? It's only 2 CMC, so you could play this before you play Mendicant. Turn 3, cast Mendicant. He's already starts at 1. Tap 2 or tap the 1 mana for Akolapile. Do that 1. You're at whatchamacallit? Speed 2 on turn 3 for an azorious colors. Not bad. Okay, middle card here is Psychic Barrier. For 2 blue, it's an instant. Counter target creature spell. Its controller loses 1 life. Okay, I know it says counter target creature spell. And the Start Your Engine mechanic requires your opponents to lose life on your turn. But there are a bunch of creatures with flash that are a pain in the butt. And if you can get rid of them for 2 blue mana on your turn, like a creature that has like a stifle effect, they're going to cast that on your turn. Bam! 2 blue mana, counter target creature spell. Its control loses 1 life. You get to increase your speed. That's a win. I think this is just a nice card to have up your sleeve. Next up, we got Throne of the God Pharaoh, which I really love because I've added in so many gold wide token decks. It's for 2 mana. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the number of tapped creatures you control. Why this is good? Because if you have a creature that you can just tap for their ability, such as one that adds mana if you are trying to cast an artifact spell, then you go to your end step on that same turn. Your opponent just lost 1 life and Start Your Engine works. And you can do this on each end step. So you're not even worried about trying to increase your speed or doing combat damage. You can stay posed for defense, or if you have vigilance, you don't even have to swing to, you don't have to tap to attack. See what I'm getting here? All right. Moving on to the next card, which I think is very underrated. Very underrated. Next up, we have Belisarius Cawl for 2 white and a blue, 2 for legendary artifact creature human. Legendary artifact creature human. I'm telling you, with these AI robots, that's a nice fun theme to do with this commander. Anyway, has the ability Ultima Founding. Tap it. Tap 2 untapped artifacts you control. That's easy to do because your whole game plan is to have a bunch of artifacts. Then create a 2/2 white Asartes warrior creature token with vigilance. Nice exchange. Actually, that's kind of crazy. What? You could have pointless artifacts that are redundant its ability and just tap 2 of them and create a 2/2 creature token with vigilance. Yeah. Anyway, Master Machines, tap it. Tap X untapped creatures you control. Astartes warriors or other artifact creatures you control here. Look at the top X cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So literally this is like a deck manipulator and you get to look for artifact cards in your deck do equal to the amount of creatures that you tap. Why not? Why not? You can do this at instant speed. And this also works well with encroaching mycosynth because all those permanent cards in your library are artifacts. So you get to tutor almost anything. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope you guys subscribe because I know I'm bringing you some hot stuff here. I got to. Got to tickle your fancy a little bit. But enough gloating. Moving on to the last cards you may have missed while you're deck building and brewing and researching Mendicant Core Guidelight. Okay, I've actually been looking for a way to use this card, and I believe I have just found it. A Call, first among equals. For 2 and a blue, 1/5 human advisor, legendary creature, says at the beginning of each player's end step, if an artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn, look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Why this is good? Because heck, you can create all types of tokens on other players' turns. I'm talking about treasure tokens, investigate clue tokens, artifact creatures. Like it's endless. So you literally get to look at the top 2 cards, put one into your graveyard for graveyard matter stuff. Maybe you need a card in your graveyard to do something, or put one of those cards into your hand. It's just for you to get through your deck, and that's so easy to do. I think this is an underrated commander, but it belongs in the 99. It does not belong as a commander, and it works well with Mendicant. Next up is Dig Site Engineer, right here in the middle for 2 and a white, 3/3. Ooh, that's a little big body right there. It's a Dwarf Artificer. It says whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 2 mana. You're going to be doing that in this deck. If you do, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. My recommendation when you play this creature is play it when you got 2 artifacts in your hand. So you know you can get at least 2 other creatures onto the battlefield that can get their power boost up. It's important not to play this too early because, if it gets removed from a board wipe, you're kind of SOL. Not a soul ring, SOL. Uh yeah. So I feel like this is one of those cards that is not talked about enough. And the important thing about this card is the sequencing. Sequencing. If you play Pokemon, you got to know about sequencing. Magic was the beginning of sequencing. But anyway, moving on to the last card here, Echo Storm for 3 and 2 blue. Sorcery says when you cast a spell, copy it for each time you cast your commander from the command zone this game. You may choose new targets for the copy. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact. This is pretty easy to do in my opinion because your commander is only a total of 2 mana value, a white and a blue. Then, commander attacks is 2. So in my prediction, you'll be at casting this commander at least 2 times. So whatever you decide to copy to create a token of, you get 3 of those. So for 5 mana to create 3 copies of a target artifact, that could be pretty powerful. Just depends on what the artifact is. Moving on to the summary. Thank you for watching this video of Core Mendicant Guidelight. I think it's an awesome Azorius commander. What you do need to know is this commander is going to be combat focused. It is tough to deal damage in white and blue without combat damage. If you're looking to use the ability to start your engine and to cast multiple copies of whatever artifact you plan on playing once you reach max speed. Woo, that sounds good right there. That was good. I said that at max speed. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. I'm your host, Commander Claw. This is another episode of Breaking Brews, bringing 5 cards that work with different themes for Mendicant Core Guidelight. Peace. Don't forget to subscribe.